Following a FASA General Assembly Tuesday afternoon, approximately 70 students from various departments made their way to the 15th floor of the John Molson building in an attempt to initiate dialogue with the administration concerning the ongoing strike.
Today's meeting, unfortunately, didn't reach quorum, and so a lot of discussion was had among the students who were present at the meeting, and out of that, people decided that the time for talking about doing things was past and the time to start actually doing things had arrived. It was collectively decided to go occupy the 15th floor of the JMSB building in order to demand that the administration of the university respond constructively to the ongoing strike situation.
There was an agreement that was out here, and the agreement was that we'd be willing to hear you speak as long as you'd be willing to also hear some of our concerns that we have brought up, and so that way we can have a dialogue that was going through and that it'd be moderated by me. Is that okay by you?
Well, let's just a second. I'm prepared to talk with you. I'm prepared to listen to you as well. I feel very strongly that you, in disagreement with what the government is doing, that you have a right to express your disagreement. I understand that fully. I respect that as well. At the same time, I do believe that those students who wish to continue their classes have a right to continue their classes without obstruction.
Given that it is ostensibly the role of the university's administration to maintain the smooth functioning of the university, it's my belief that it's very important for this administration to bring forth solutions and structures that allow for the amelioration of the current situation, which affects us all. What we've seen so far from the administration has been an insistence on business as usual, literally in numerous emails from the administration. We've seen students told that they have to submit work by deadlines despite the fact that their classes haven't been running for 4 weeks. We've seen professors asked to grade assignments by the standard deadline despite the fact that there's an enormous backlog of work. We've seen staff under pressure from very stressed out staff and faculty and students to accommodate for their demands or for their needs in this situation. And from the administration, we haven't received an iota of support. What we have received is an acknowledgement of the ongoing situation via aggression, essentially. We've received, I think a perfect example of this is the email sent by the administration on March 23rd, demanding that professors, in violation of their contracts, call security on students and demand for academic charges to be announced. It's my belief, I think it's very telling that you frame your argument in terms of individual rights, because it's my belief that the administration's position so far has been motivated by what I would characterize as neoliberal policies of individualization, which echo very much those underlying the Charest government's tuition hikes. So given the way that this has affected all of us, and continues to, collectively here we've decided on making 2 demands. They are firstly, that you, in your capacity as president of the university, do whatever is necessary to publicly and vocally support academic amnesty being given to all students who have participated in the strike. And secondly, that you, again in your capacity as president of this university, push for the university to take a public stance in opposition to the $1,625 tuition hike budgeted by the Charest government.
I personally would have no problem at all with zero tuition, with no tuition at all, provided the university could get operating funds from other sources, okay?
The correct approach, I absolutely agree with you that it is not the place of administration to dictate how professors run their courses, but in a sense, through action, that's what's happening now. Professors are being forced to compromise their courses in a very profound way by the fact that no alternative structures are being provided. So I certainly would not petition the administration to instruct professors or require them to change their syllabi. But the fact that that option is not even being presented is very problematic.
What we've seen is that dialogue coming from the administration is talking points, and there's no, like, you have your media relations person there, for example. Like, Yes, talking points. We know the talking points. We've read the emails. We've read the communiques. We know where the university
I guess I found the right
is.
spot.
What we want is a discussion, and can we get that from you?
Back to me. My personal opinion, you keep on speaking about alternate funding sources, and that is, in fact, I think, most troubling part of this budget, from my perspective. Because at the same time as the government is withdrawing public support to our public institutions, they're putting universities in a position where they need to be in further competition with each other to seek out corporate donations. And not only do I think this presents the possibility of compromising the idea of a free thought and free learning, but it also speaks to the competition you say we're already disadvantaged in. If all schools are forced to compete for the same corporate money, same corporate sponsorship, this doesn't speak to a betterment of our institutions.
People are standing in front of classes because marginalized people cannot afford more expensive education. Quebec is not paying women the same as men. How dare they? And as long as these things exist in Quebec, how can we even suggest that by raising tuition, by making university even more inaccessible to those marginalized people, that will be improving the quality of our education? Because to me, the university will go downhill if it is more homogenized. And
with this rationale that universities need money, when most of the money is not going into universities.
It raises $850 million, and out of that $850 million, only $265 will be reinvested in education.
I can't discuss those figures because I
Those are public figures.
No, all right, but the tuition fees that students pay do come to the as I said, the Canadian.
No, the budget was published, and those are the right figures.
It doesn't go back to university.
First of all, I really appreciate you coming out to share your own perspective and your experience with us. Honestly and respectfully, when it comes to decisions about the university, it's not just about your opinion, and it's not just about your politics. You can't be making these decisions on behalf of 45,000 people with the thought like, well, this is what I think, so. You said earlier that you respected democracy, but you haven't shown any respect for the democratic decisions of students. You're in a position to represent us within university administrations all over Canada to the government, and you're not listening to us, and I think that's why so many of us are so frustrated. And secondly, I've heard you say a lot about how you would support lower tuition or free tuition if there were alternatives.
Yeah.
Why, as an administrator and as an advocate for this university that you are the head of, are you not pushing for those alternatives and pushing to seek those alternatives and be so in favor of lowering tuition? Which brings me to my second point, which is that as a student and as somebody who's taken a lot of care to inform myself about these issues, I'm deeply disturbed and frankly kind of offended at the fact that you haven't been reading emails sent out by your own administration to students, that you seem to not know anything about the budget, which has been public for several weeks now, that you keep making these statements that we're saying, no, it's not true, and you just don't seem to know the issue. And I'm really, really concerned. I would just
Is it that I don't know the issue or I don't see it your way?
It's that you don't know the issue.
There have been a number of points on which
Yeah,
you haven't heard information.
Hi, my name is Sarah. It's kind of hard for me to get to you, but can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. I guess I just wanted to say this is a comment about what's already been discussed. I'm from Alberta, where the tuition is considerably higher than it is here now. And just in the context of, you had mentioned something about Quebec being part of this larger context, being embedded within Canada. We're not on our own. We have to operate within the system of federal funding and all this kind of stuff. And I think that I recognize that this is a difficult position to take. I mean, I think all of us here know what it's like to be speaking out about something and not feeling like we have the support of a larger consensus. But I think that that it is actually and I think that's why we're all here, we feel that it's our responsibility, and so I would hope that you would feel it's your responsibility as well, and I understand we have different opinions, but to not to conform to the status quo of the rest of Canada, but in fact to shame the other governments, the provincial governments in Canada, into lowering their own tuition rates and looking for these alternatives to the way that tuition is funded. So rather than going the other way, I think we should be really, just as somebody from Alberta, I know that Quebec is sort of like the one hope for the future of accessible education that Canada has left. So I think we need to respect that and hold that.
Could I just emphasize, Dr. Lowy, that this is an issue that needs urgent action because students are in peril of losing their semesters, very concerned about failing. Professors are also deeply concerned about the situation that they are in now, and deadlines are getting closer rather than further away.
Well, first of all, I assure you that, I fully agree with you that we would not want to lose a year as a result of this. First of all, I can't comment on what took place before I came, okay? Because I wasn't involved in that.
Because I guess you.
But let me just say a few things. First of all, the $2 million fine, we still don't know yet how that's going to be applied or over what period of time it's going to be applied, or indeed whether it will be applied. But I can assure you that however it's applied, it will not affect students. Absolutely. If you want to know about that, let me tell you. I was on the point of moving to another part of Toronto. I was on the point of moving to Toronto. My wife and I had bought a place in Toronto, which we were then obviously obligated to. Then the university invited me to come back. And I thought that if I could be of help, I have a lot of good feelings about this university. If I could be of help here, that I will do it. But I couldn't afford to live in two places at the same time. And so what I asked the university to do, since I did have to buy the one in Toronto that I was obligated to buy, I asked the university to give me a loan until such time as I was able to sell the building that I'm living in, well, not a building, it's a condo, that I'm living in right now. Because, so the university will get its money back. They're just lending it to me until I can sell my present place to give them the money back.
It's hard to believe.
So,
I wish my employer would.
well, yeah, but no, but you see, it's not a question of generosity. I wouldn't have been able to take the job. I wouldn't have been able to come back.
Please be of help to us.
Pardon?
So please be of help to us now that you're back.
Well, I hope that I can be of help to you.
So the university.
But being of help does not necessarily mean doing everything that you want me to do. I'm going to try to do.
We just don't want to be charged for standing up for social justice.
No, I agree. No,
that's all.
I'm for social justice too.
To me.
The protesters and President Lowy, who had only just returned from his trip to meet alumni in Hong Kong, left after an agreement was reached to have a more formal discussion, organized by Gill and the president of the university later in the week. An email is to be sent out to all students to inform them of the time and place. Though there will be limited space, CUTV News will be live streaming the event. For updates as you receive them, follow us on Twitter at CUTV News.